Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and coming up in today's newscast, more than 6,200 Israelis have now been diagnosed with the coronavirus, including Israel's very own health minister. We'll investigate why domestic violence is rising in Israel amidst the coronavirus crisis. And two young Israeli women have the surprise of a lifetime when they get to meet one of the world's most famous celebrities from their house. Over 600 new cases of the coronavirus have been diagnosed over the last 24 hours, meaning that more than 6,200 Israelis have now been diagnosed with the coronavirus. 107 are now believed to be in serious condition, with 127 moderately ill, and the vast majority, luckily, have light symptoms, with 289 having now recovered from the disease. The death toll in Israel from COVID-19, however, continues to rise. At least 33 people have now passed away from the deadly virus, and the latest deaths include a 90-year-old man in Tel Aviv, a 72-year-old man in Tel Aviv, and an 87-year-old man in Beersheba, all with pre-existing conditions. Now, at the same time, Israeli Health Minister Yaakov Litzman and his wife have both tested positive for the coronavirus. The 71-year-old health minister is the most senior Israeli official to be diagnosed with COVID-19. And he and his wife are now being treated in isolation according to his own ministry's guidelines. All those who have been in contact with him are now being sent into quarantine as well. And Litzman's diagnosis comes after his prominent role in handling the coronavirus crisis, ordering tens of thousands into quarantine and pushing for self-distancing. But the Ultraorthodox leader of the United Torah Judaism Party has been criticized heavily by health professionals for his handling of the outbreak. Many claim he's put the interests of the Ultraorthodox community ahead of the needs of the general public. And senior medical officials have urgently asked the Prime Minister to appoint a professional figure as health minister instead, saying that health comes before politics. An estimated 7,800 coronavirus tests have now been performed in the last 24 hours. Now, because the health minister is infected with the coronavirus, the Israeli prime minister himself is officially going back into self-quarantine this morning. Netanyahu had just been released last night after previously coming into contact with a sick aide, and he was able to announce new regulations across the state of Israel last night amidst the coronavirus outbreak. Now, in a bid to stem the spread of the disease, Israelis are now required to wear masks in public, and those who do not have a mask can either use a scarf to wrap their face or they can improvise. The most important thing, according to the Health Ministry Director General, is that the nose and the mouth are covered. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has also announced that families will be receiving a one-off payment of 500 shekels per child up to the fourth child. That's about $140. And the same exact stipend will also be given to the elderly, although the minimum age has not yet been specified. These payments are supposedly going to be approved via emergency legislation and will be made directly into bank accounts right before Passover without any bureaucratic red tape. And the cabinet has also just approved a measure to give grants of 6,000 shekels to self-employed Israelis, and the funds will be handed out by the tax authority. Netanyahu has also announced efforts to slow down the rate of infection in Bnei Brak, a city just outside of Tel Aviv that's home to a large ultra-Orthodox community that has been failing to adhere to regulations. And now transportation will be limited in and out of that city, and all sick people in Bnei Brak will be evacuated to special medical hotels. It's now believed that 38% of the city's residents have coronavirus. In addition, anyone arriving into Israel from abroad is also now required to quarantine in one of Israel's special coronavirus hotels for at least 14 days. And last but not least, Israelis are required to only celebrate the upcoming Passover holiday with their immediate families or those that they're currently living with, all out of concern that many will break social distancing rules on the night of the traditional Seder. Now, amidst all these regulations, the Israeli economy has taken a hit, but interestingly, the Israeli stock market remains stable. Economic advisors say now is the time to invest in stocks and buy real estate. And joining us is senior economic advisor Shlomo Maoz on the phone, who's going to give us some tips on how to take advantage of this crisis to make some good investments. So why are experts saying now is the right time to invest our money in stocks?
Since there is now some kind of panic all over the world in Israel as well, But if we look about the Israeli economy, it's very strong. I would say that one of the strongest economies in the world when we entered this recession and the panic worldwide. And the first point that I should emphasize is the high-tech industry and startup industry, which we are doing very well in the last 20 years. And I think once we are going to be out of this shell of prices, when the corona virus will be behind us, I think some people who are going to put their money or their investment in such companies will do a fine return on their investment.
Where would you recommend investing your money right now? Which companies specifically in Israel?
I wouldn't like to say companies specifically because we are not allowed by the Israeli law to say specific. But if we take the biomed, a lot of biomed companies doing well, a lot of companies in the health industry and in the health instrument industry. Those are the companies which I think are doing well, a lot of them doing a lot of research. Mm-hmm. I think within a short time, some of them will come with nice results.
What about real estate specifically? Because, some are thinking that prices are going to drop. Is that what's going to see? When is the right time to invest in real estate?
Yeah, I think since we are going to have some hundreds of thousands of people out of work, prices going to drop in this year and next year. So
when exactly, though? When is the best time within this next year to invest in real estate?
I think if we speak about real estate, the best time will be in the next few months when people still in panic and they don't know what to do with our estate, and we can buy houses and dwellings. Mainly the price of luxurious houses drop, and they are going to continue to drop rather than the dwelling, like mainly in the very nice neighborhoods. And the other thing,
unfortunately, we've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Israel may be doing really well against the coronavirus when compared to other nations, but the response hasn't been perfect. And among the biggest arguments is that Health Minister Litzman reportedly took too long to address the severe lack of ventilators. Well, thankfully, Israeli defense firms are stepping up to fill the gaps.
The pandemic alarm bells have been ringing since back in January, and at our immediate disposal, Israel only has about 3,000 ventilators, which we know are essential for COVID-19 treatment. Yet it wasn't until early March that the Israeli Health Ministry finally made an order for more breathing machines. And medical experts are predicting dire outcomes because of the delay. Because this means that of the 11,000 ventilators, 7,400 monitors, and 21,000 pumping systems that the government ordered, most will be stuck in back order and will not arrive in Israel until after they're most needed. So in the meantime, Israel's defense ministry has taken the lead by tapping IAI, or Israel Aerospace Industries, to make up the difference. And in a matter of days, IAI has been able to convert one of its missile production facilities into a ventilator manufacturing plant. Together with the defense ministry and medical device company Innovatech, IAI has retooled one of its classified sites, and the new production line has already been inaugurated, with at least 30 new ventilators produced and shipped to Israel's Ministry of Health. No details have yet been released, though, on how many ventilators IAI hopes to produce every day, nor whether or not they'll be making the machines available abroad as well as to the local markets.
When is a unity government finally going to be formed in the state of Israel? Well, joining us with the latest updates on this Israeli political saga is columnist for Newsweek and editor of HistoryCentral.com, Mark Schulman. So let's start with the news that surprised us all today. Israeli Health Minister Yaakov Litzman has the coronavirus. Now, much of Israel's top brass are in quarantine. Litzman, of course, has gotten a lot of negative feedback and criticism in his role as the health minister, but why is he so insistent on staying in that position in the coming government?
It's so hard to know, quite frankly. I mean, you would think that in any normal circumstances, after what went on here now, he would just resign. But that's not going to happen. My best guess, and again, it's only a guess, is that a lot of people from his party have jobs in the health ministry. He's been sitting there for 8 years. And if he was to leave the health ministry, they'd lose their jobs. And therefore, he was told by the Admor from Gur, you can't leave that job. That's the only thing that makes any sense. There's no other logic. We have a man who does not have even a high school degree who is running the health ministry in the middle of the world's most terrible pandemic ever. And it's an absurd situation. It's absurd from a different level. Just 1 second, because you would think the one thing he should have taken care of is his own community and making sure the communications went out to his own community. And there he failed miserably as well.
Now, in terms of the unity government negotiations, apparently there have been rumors that one of the sticking points is where Netanyahu and Gantz will live. Netanyahu would apparently remain in the official prime minister's residence, even after Gantz would take over as prime minister in their rotational agreement. And there are already very harsh reactions from the public about the problematic timing of such a decision. What do you think is behind this rumor?
It may even be true. Listen, people are always saying, look at the other, the chance after the second election where the idea of Netanyahu leaving in Nitzbarut, in other words, stepping away for a period of time, but he would continue living in Balfour. So that seems to be a major of importance to Netanyahu to keep on living there. I don't think Kachol Lavan really cares one way or the other. I really don't think of all the things that Gantz is concerned about, he cares about that. I think the public, though, is, of course, outraged in the same way that the public is outraged at the idea that we're going to have a government of 30 ministers, each one with their budgets and everything else at a time of tremendous economic pain that's about to come upon this country.
Right. Now, Benny Gantz and Yuli Edelstein, they continue to meet to discuss the role of the Speaker of the Knesset. Edelstein clearly wants his job back. Why is he so insistent about that?
Well, he had a plan, and his plan was he was going to be Speaker of the Knesset, and then he would go on to become president when Ruvi Rivlin retired. The same way Rivlin became the Speaker was the Speaker first, and then went on to become president. So he still wants to keep that. The real problem is that at least those people who voted for Gantz, who are already upset about all these other things, are saying, wait a second, Edelstein last week basically told the Supreme Court to, excuse the expression, go to hell. I don't really care what you say. And a real deep attack on the powers of the courts in the system. That's supposedly one of the main reasons that Kachol Lavan is going into the government is to protect the courts, and to allow Edelstein to stay is problematic.
Now, partners on the left side of the political map, like Amir Peretz of the Labor Party, are also in no hurry, you could say, to join the unity government. They demand that Netanyahu and Gantz declare a clear policy specifically on the annexation of Judea and Samaria. What was each party's policy on annexation so far?
Well, before the election, of course, the Labor Party is 100% against it, and Gantz said only by mutual agreement, basically, or agreement with Jordan and other countries, which effectively means he was against it as well. Look, the way they're going to solve this problem, in my mind, is they're going to say, okay, for the next 7 months or 8 months, this is going to be an emergency government. It's only going to deal with Corona. We're not going to make any other major decisions. Now, remember that I think we're 8 months away from the U.S. presidential elections, or even a little bit less than that at this point. And so at that point, we'll have a better idea whether President Trump will be reelected or not. Obviously, if he doesn't get reelected, this whole issue becomes moot, because the whole point that the right wing has been saying, we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do something with the support of the American government. If Trump doesn't get reelected, that's not going to happen. So they're going to try to push time so nothing is done in the early part of this new government, if it ever forms.
All right, Mark, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, as police attempt to enforce stricter regulations surrounding the coronavirus pandemic across Israel, not everybody is happy about it. Yesterday evening saw massive clashes in Yafo, Tel Aviv, when police stopped a man and accused him of breaking mandatory COVID-19 quarantine. That's a look at what happened in Yafo, Tel Aviv, when police began to question a man out on the street who refused to show them his identification card. As they were investigating why he wasn't at home, family members began to encircle and attack the officers, leading a large amount of police to arrive on the scene. Police claim rioters arrived to the site in an organized fashion with stones, tires, and flammable materials, clashing with officers, blocking roads, and burning tires. Protesters could be heard yelling Allahu Akbar, or God is great, in Arabic, a term often used in Muslim prayers. 4 people have since been arrested, and the man that had been originally questioned has now received a fine for being more than 100 meters from his home. But the protests in Yafo are not the only to have taken place. Police have been forced to break up major gatherings and prayer services in ultra-Orthodox communities across Jerusalem and Bnei Brak. In Jerusalem, one child was caught referring to officers as Nazis and coughing on them. Nazi! Nazi! Many members of ultra-Orthodox communities have failed to adhere to coronavirus regulations, accusing police of infringing on their religious freedoms. But the Israeli government says there has been a change in sentiment as influential rabbis encourage their followers to listen to authorities. Now, the number of cases of domestic violence in Israel have spiked since the outbreak of the coronavirus as more and more families remain completely confined to their homes and scarcely interact with outsiders. Well, in fact, women's shelters across Israel are now at more than 90% capacity, according to the Social Affairs Ministry. And joining us to discuss how we can help combat this issue is Gali Etzion, the head of counseling and legislation at the Naamat Women's Organization. So tell us about why we're seeing so many more cases of domestic violence.
Well, in a situation like that, it's like a boiling pot. The people are quarantined at home. They have to be together. There is definitely financial difficulties, and it's very difficult. So families who already suffer from domestic violence, it's like boiling and boiling and boiling, and eventually something really bad can happen.
Now, as an outsider, how can you identify if somebody like a neighbor is potentially at risk?
It's very difficult today because, as I said, everybody is closing their own homes, and it's you don't hear very much, and it's very difficult to know. You should know your own home. You should know if you feel like you're in danger, then you should do something. You should call. You should text to hotlines, and even potential people who feel that they will harm somebody, they should call and seek for help.
So I want to get into kind of what your organization does with that, but do you believe that we're going to be seeing even more cases of domestic violence in the coming months?
Well, definitely there are. The social services are reporting that there are increasing of more than 700% increase in the domestic violence reporting and complaints against women, against children. It's a very flammable situation.
Now, how is your organization helping combat this issue? I understand that you offer help to also violent men or women who want to control their anger during these stressful times. How can they handle these kinds of dangerous feelings that they might be having?
Well, Naamat has a hotline, a dedicated hotlines where women who feel threatened or men who are seeking help in controlling their anger can call or even text. In a situation like that, it's very difficult sometimes to call because your offender is nearby. So sometimes you can't just pick up the phone and call. So we have dedicated lines that you can also text, which is very important, I think, to do it in a very silent way.
Do you have an estimate for how many women or men are facing domestic violence in the state of Israel?
Well, the estimation are talking about 200,000 women and children. In a situation like that, the line is very thin, and sometimes people who are not completely in danger become in danger because you are, as I said, at home, quarantined, closed at home,
right.
and the financial situation is definitely not helping, and it's very, very difficult and dangerous sometimes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us with some information on this issue. And if you're watching and you need help, you should reach out to the hotline of this organization. Israeli senior citizens are the most at risk of contracting severe cases of the coronavirus, but not all of them have a family to depend on. The Israeli organization Latet has just launched an emergency fund to help assist isolated elderly people in accessing basic needs like food. And joining us with the details is Gilles Darmon, the chairman and founder of Latet. So how many elderly people in Israel do not have a family to buy food and basic necessities for them? Your organization is offering to help them, right? Tell us what you're doing.
Thank you, Natasha, for your question. Actually, you're right. By the moment we understand at Latet organization that we are facing one of the biggest humanitarian crises in Israel ever, we decided to enroll the entire Israeli society to lead maybe the widest civilian emergency response to the coronavirus in Israel. Our goal is very simple. We need to provide all the stuff to 15,000 elderly, needy people beyond the age of 75. They are the most vulnerable to the virus. That's why we are here, and this is what we are doing now.
Now, how many elderly people are you assisting, and where are they located?
Yes, effectively, what we have to do is to provide this assistance as fast as possible. you know, you have to understand that every day we got more than 1,000 requests for these needy people to get assistance from us. So we recruit thousands of volunteers in order to spread this help to more than 80 localities all over the country. And this is what we are doing.
If you can't volunteer, how else can you help out? Can you donate in some way? If so, where do you do that?
We cannot do it alone. I mean, we need the resource, the help, the assistance of everyone. So please go to the website of latet.org.il and please do something in order to help us to achieve this huge mission. We need you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and such important work that you guys are doing. All right, so a lot of us have had more time than usual, you could say, to scroll through the internet now that we're stuck socially distancing from our homes. And let's face it, it can get lonely, which is why a lot of people are trying to stay social through live streaming videos and video chats. Now, Instagram has this very unique feature that allows you to request to join a live stream and directly chat with whoever is running it. And two Israeli girls had the surprise of a lifetime when they got to meet their biggest idol, music star Justin Bieber. Just take a look.
Yo.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Hello. Where are you from? Where are you from?
Israel.
Israel. In the building.
Yes. Justin, I so love you.
Israel.
Moshika!
Sorry, I was reading something.
אני מדברת עם
What,
ג'סטין ביבר. אני
who are
נשבר
you with?
לך בראש שלי, תראה. This is my brother.
Hello, brother.
Justin, I'm so in love with you.
I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that. We're gonna keep chatting with more fans, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for everything, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, bye.
All right, bye. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm good. Where are you from?
Israel.
Israel. Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a long time since you've been here.
Yeah. Friggin', what do I know? And I know how to say Shema, Israel, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Good.
That's my Hebrew.
That first girl was just hilarious. She was totally freaking out. And they're both certainly going to have something exciting to remember about with this coronavirus outbreak. But really, it's just amazing what the internet can do. I mean, it gives us a chance to connect with so many people around the world. So you should join us tonight as I live stream myself on ILTV's Facebook. Now, on that note, let's take a look at the weather forecast. The weekend is finally here. Not that you should be leaving your house to enjoy the awesome weather. Both Friday and Saturday are going to be sunny as can be. Perfect beach days for you to daydream about. And Friday, we'll see a high of 24 degrees Celsius or 75 Fahrenheit, and the temperature will rise to a steamy 31 Celsius or 88 Fahrenheit. And now, before we go, let's take a look at what's going viral in Israel on tubing. This girl is asking her viewers to smile as she works out, and we can see somebody has no intention of working out whatsoever. All of these, we've been doing these live fitness streams on our Facebook, and I appreciate them, but I do enjoy a good donate from my couch. What can you do? All right, that is it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.63 shekels to the American dollar. For more news from ILTV, please like ILTV on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube and Roku TV pages. I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and thanks for watching.